Hello everybody, it is Joe. The previous video I had to delete because it had no sound. I've tested the equipment and it seems to be fine. I'm just assuming maybe it wasn't plugged in all the way. Anyway, I'm trying to get this nice dappled effect here from the noontime sun. I hope you can get the idea that I'm in the woods. Um, Actually, it's kind of distracting. I'm going to go back in the shade. So many things, so many tangents. And I always try to ride that wave with you, to ride the wave of tangents, but stay focused enough to share them all to their fullest. Oh, it's so fun. Anyway, on the previous video, I was really enthusiastic to be back at this after a break. And I want to share that again with you because that one didn't get recorded. You saw me moving my mouth for almost half an hour, but that doesn't really do it for most people. So yeah, I took that video down and I put this one back up to take its place. Not to repeat what I said, but to share the same sentiments. Anyway, last night I was talking with a new acquaintance who I met, another cyclist, who talked with me for quite a while about my journey and was really interested in my trip. His name was Greg, and I really enjoyed speaking with him at length. Greg, if you're out there watching this video, hey there. I may mention you in the comments so you know this is the one to watch. But anyway, we were talking about my trip, and I was telling him how I have this video and how I talk about the things that I've learned more so than the places I've been. Yes, I'm in the woods. Yes, this woods happens to be near Warner Robins, Georgia, and Warner Robins is a reasonably nice place. But, I travel all the time, and I see a lot of places. What's really important is what I learn, as I was talking, last night with Greg. Anyway, it's really fascinating to me. One thing that he and I talked about, I gave him a rundown of pretty much everything I do, so I'm going at the thing that really stuck out at me the most. I was trying to explain, what I've learned from the minimalism of my trip, of getting rid of all of my stuff, not putting it in storage, even though I had the opportunity to store stuff for free. I just felt that I really needed to get rid of all my music instruments, to get rid of all my old possessions and memory items. I digitized some photos and memory items and gave away some that I felt other people might want to keep for their memories. But ultimately, just let go of everything. Everything that doesn't fit on the bike. And it was kind of a dramatic step. It's not for everyone. I don't recommend it. If you feel called to do it, you're going to do it. You're going to follow your intuition. If you don't feel that intuition, you're not going to do it. I don't have to recommend it or validate it for you to follow your own intuition. That being said, I've learned a lot from that very odd calling that I had to get rid of a lot of stuff that meant a lot to me. And it wasn't really for the money. Yeah, I sold some things and got some money that I poured into my trip, but I could have had the trip anyway. I could have succeeded regardless. It was more about letting go of that stuff. And what I was telling Greg is, as I go through my day with the small number of possessions I have, I've got 4 bags and a tarp and a bike, the bags, I could probably, if I had to, write down everything that's in the bags. I probably wouldn't get 100% on that test, but I bet I could get an A+. I bet I'd get a 98, 99% if I had to write down everything I own. Might be an interesting test to write down everything I own and then see which things I forget, whether they're essential or not, or whether they have some other meaning. That might be really fun. Take some time. I'm not sure I'm going to volunteer to do that today, but that might be fun. Anyway, what I just did there, do you see how I said, this is a great idea, but I didn't commit to doing it? I'm the kind of person where I want to do every good idea. I'm the kind of person where I want to, be like Bert in Mary Poppins and have a new job every day and explore all the different things in life all in one lifetime. Of course you can't. I can't. you catch me projecting it onto you because I wanted to believe I could. I have this belief that I could do everything. And that's not how it is. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. I heard that from Brandon Beecham, who I talk about all the time because I love his podcast. I also am checking out a guy, Adam Roa, I believe his name is, R-O-A. I think I'm spelling that right. If not, it's something similar, Koa or Doa or something like that. He has a podcast called the Deep Dive Podcast. So with that information, you can find him regardless of my misspellings. And was enjoying his podcast today. I actually ran into him on the podcast from, oh no, I just changed my brightness settings and it's all gone to crap. Okay, that's better. I was going to say, I was listening to Brandon Beecham's podcast, listened to his interview with Adam, and now I like Adam's podcast too. It's really nice. I like doing those spirituality, self-development podcasts in the morning. Anyway, back to the topic. I love tangents. I love them so much. Like, I want to do everything all at once. I want to live every lifetime, and that's what tangents are. It's going everywhere all at once. It's that desire. It's that joy for life. And as I said earlier, I want to ride that wave. I want to enjoy my tangents and at the same time focus enough so that you can get what I'm saying, so that you can get the gem behind each one of them. And that is skill. Holding back my joy just enough so I can make sense to people and not ramble. That's a big one. Because you don't want to hold back joy too much. But if you do it enough to share with people, it creates momentum and it creates more joy for everybody. And of course I get joy knowing that you're out there listening and that you're hearing what I'm saying and that you're following this path of, happiness and excitement with me. So it's worth slowing down a bit. Just barely worth it. I really enjoy rambling. So, back to it. I am really enjoying the minimalism because it allows me in a practical sense not just to get rid of things that at some point I had an attachment to, I had an emotion to, I felt I needed to keep an object in order to keep a feeling, which you don't have to do. You can keep the feeling. Nowadays, you can just keep a picture of the object, and that helps because they're easy to store. But even without the picture, you could still have the feelings of the things that you love. Certainly don't need to keep things out of obligation or anything or even a picture that makes you feel bad. Even today, I cut a few pictures out of my picture library because they were triggering a sense of loss. You don't need them. If you want to remember the things, you will. You can curate and cultivate your memory and your memory items, those physical things, pictures, objects, whatever they are, that, you create a memory gallery from these objects. That was not a sentence. I'm trying really hard to focus here. The point is, you're creating a designer memory. You have a memory of the things you want to remember the most. People have pictures of their family. I have a picture of my little niece on my background on my phone. With a little toy that I gave her. It makes me happy to see that. I could put anything on there, but I'm choosing to put stuff on there that makes me happy. So we need to just own that. We just need to own that we create memories. We maintain a group of memories that make us feel good. It's not what really happened. It's not an accurate representation of our past. It's just the parts of our past that we choose to remember, and then we can let the other stuff go. It's not a record. It's not a historical record. It's not all the things. It's just things that make us feel good. And do it. Feel good. But know you're doing it. And just let it be what it is. So, with Greg, I'm glad I mentioned him at the beginning because I'm using him, as I do in most of these videos, as kind of a through line that weaves through the conversation. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like one idea, one thing that I mentioned at the beginning, one person, one conversation can help me kind of focus my way through a conversation about these deep things I get so excited about and want to tangent in all directions. So anyway, Greg and I were talking about minimalism, and I was trying to say that it goes beyond just that. It goes beyond just letting go of things that make you feel bad, keeping the things that inspire you, make you feel good, make you feel love, and just surrounding yourself with those items, surrounding yourself with stuff in your physical and digital life. I was going to say life, I don't know. Are they separate? Suffice to say, surround yourself with stuff that makes you feel good and know you're doing it, and constantly curate that. Look at the stuff around you and say, do I need it? Can I let it go? Or can I change it? Can I do something to it that would make me feel better? Can I put a sticker on it? Can I paint it? Can I make it brightly colored? Can I do this or that? What can I do that would make this thing more meaningful to me? What can I do that would make this thing more inspiring? Just brighten up your everyday, because these are the things you surround yourself with. Now, maybe some of you are doing this already. Maybe this seems like common sense to you. I'm a very practical person, and I don't surround myself with many things for the sake of inspiration. I just have these few objects. So who knows? Anyway, beyond the emotional impact that the things have on me and you, all of our possessions have on us, it's hard to talk about this, and I may have talked about this in previous videos, but it's been a while. There's something about interacting with each object through our habits, through how we use them in our daily life. It touches on mindfulness. It touches on taking every action with love towards ourselves and everyone else. I think that's a lot about not turning on the fight or flight mechanism, about moving slowly and mindfully and doing each action that we do in life with mindfulness. And I've talked about that on Facebook and elsewhere, but beyond that is something really, really special. It's having so few items allows me to say, okay, I've got to open the door of my tent because I want to go outside. I'm going to do that in a way that's not too fast. Doesn't have to be too slow, but slow enough that I don't feel any anxiety. I don't feel that I'm in a hurry. Fight or flight is so important, and I think that it's really at the basis of a lot of religious and spiritual stuff. That's how we've passed on emotional intelligence through our cultures, and every culture has religion, which passes on a lot of things, not just emotional intelligence, but it passes on a certain way of doing things. Now, don't get me wrong, religion can pass on authority, it can pass on fear, it can pass on things that turn on your fight or flight mechanism, or kind of a cynical trade-off that in order to feel the good feeling of what they call feed and breed, the opposite of fight and flight, in order to feel that good feeling, you have to feel something bad first. For example, in Christianity, you have to acknowledge yourself as a sinner before you can be saved. You have to feel negatively about yourself before you can feel positively. I skip the negative and go straight to feeling good about myself. But some people need to feel that yes, I'm bad and I'm terrible and I'm the worst thing ever, and now I'm saved and now I can feel wonderful. That's, to me, really poisonous, but some people seem to need it, and I respect other people's views even if I don't share them. I vehemently don't share that belief, but I want all the Christians out there to know that I do respect your faith and your path, wherever it's leading you, wherever you're going in your life. I know you're doing that for a perfect reason. Don't understand it. I'm not going there myself, but I want to be as loving as I can towards everybody. including Christianity, the religion I was raised in and have some personal feelings about. So, this minimalism thing, I really want to dig into it. It's so hard to dig into these things. As much as I love tangents, they do take me away from this really core idea that I've probably never spoken in these words ever before. I've never wrapped my mind around in this way ever before, and for some reason talking with you guys really helps me to bring these things out. My friends and family know that I love to talk with them at length, or talk at them at length, because the same thing is true. When I get a chance to really verbally dig into something for a while, I can really connect with people and say, oh, yeah, this is the thing. Don't you see the thing? And if I, with a certain kind of person, we can bat the idea back and forth and get closer and closer to the truth, which I love to do. But I also love to just monologue with you guys. That's fun in its own way. Though any of you who would like to bat some ideas back and forth with me, I certainly will make myself available on phone and Skype to do so, because that's my favorite thing. So, let me see if I can go a little deeper. When I'm dealing with minimalism through my habits, when I'm dealing with each tiny act of my life, because I've minimized not just my possessions, but the number of actions I need to take in a day, the number of choices I need to make in a day, I've really simplified my life beyond just stuff. And that allows me to examine each decision. I think this is why many spiritual people have chosen to live monastic lives, simple lives, in all faiths, why they like to have few possessions. You know, people like Gandhi are famous for having very, very few possessions, far fewer than I do. It's that simplicity that allows a person to say, okay, I have a habit and I'm going to follow this habit. I do this and then I do this and I do this and I do this and I don't have to think. I don't have to make any choices. I'm just going to follow that habit. That's a kind of forced or regulated or formulaic simplicity that doesn't resonate with me. I understand that it works for other people. Again, I love everybody's path. It's not mine. I like to do the path of flexibility. I like to know that I can do whatever I want to right now, all the time. When I wake up, I have very few things that must be done in my day. I, for example, have a deadline tomorrow, and I want to finish the job ahead of the deadline today. So that's shaping my day. I also have a desire to do some travel. I can stay here where I am. I can go travel and come back to where I am. There's a couple different, actually quite a few different places I could stop and do my work on the way along my path as I'm traveling today. And I acknowledge all those as possibilities, but not as requirements. I don't need to make a plan and then follow it. That idea of goals, that idea of we're going to make a plan and then we're going to follow it and then we're going to get this thing done. We're going to accomplish this thing. That whole idea is so big in our culture, and it works. You know, if you want to harvest a crop, you have to follow quite a large plan, you know, get all the necessary resources and land and equipment and all things together, and then get all the people together you need to work with them, and then spend the time and get the resources like water and seeds and fertilizer. There's a whole thing you have to do in order to get that result of a harvest. You know, nowadays in our industrial society, we have projects that companies undertake and products that they produce, and it involves planning. And I think that is really essential for groups. I think it's essential for certain types of endeavor. But I think in our personal lives, it works for some people. I think they've extended this idea of, well, I make a plan and then I do it. And I don't have to think about it, I just do it. It doesn't work for me. You know, I need to change in the moment. I need to take what my intuition, all of my emotions, my deepest realizations, I need to take what those things are telling me in every moment and go after them. I need to be able to change. That's why I have such a flexible life. That's why I've created the life I have, so that I can go where I want, stay where I am, observe a few necessities, the basic necessities of life, but only the very, very most basic ones, and discover ways to be more and more flexible all the time. I've created this crazy life. I ride my bike around all over the place, and I work on the computer, and I meet people, and I travel, and I have a nice time. But I'm still trying to make it more flexible to where I can really be myself and express myself in every moment, and I don't have to force myself to do things that I don't feel like doing just to survive. Sometimes I do, you know. Say I'm in my tent in the morning and it gets too hot because tents trap heat and it's hot and I have to get up and I want to sleep in longer. Well, I gotta get up unless I want to bake, There are realities of life. There are physical realities of life, but there's so few limits compared to what we think they are. We think we have so many limits. There's so many things we can't do. We think we're boxed in and we're not. Yeah, there's a few obstacles, but they don't box us in. We can get around them. They're not surrounding us. And I think that so many people in our mainstream culture feel that way. I think those people are also exploited because of how they feel trapped and limited. They feel, well, I have to go to this place and work hard at a job I don't want to do because otherwise I would die. My family would die. We would starve. We would have no place to live. And though some of that is true, for some people, most of it is untrue. You don't have to set yourself free completely. There's really no way to do that aside from leaving this life, aside from death. The ultimate freedom, which, we'll all get to in time. But for me, I like this idea of like a 90% freedom, a 95% freedom. Get rid of all these things that you don't need. And the few things that you do need to take care of, you do. That's really for me. That's my plan. I said you, but I really mean me. Maybe you're like me, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just examining the views of other people, as I do with people of other faiths. So, to kind of wrap this up, I have the luxury of minimalism. I have this idea that, how do I say it? As I'm going through my habits, the daily tasks that I do, there are very few things that I have to do right now. A lot of choice strains our mind and puts me in fight and flight, probably all of us. When we feel like we have to hurry up and make a decision. I look at all the things that I'm doing as I'm, for example, today, packing up my campsite to go travel. Do I need to do it right now? No, I can stop and make a video. Do I need to put this thing in the bag? Well, maybe, some things need to be at the bottom of the bag, so you put them in first. There are some limits, but I can pack up my site in any order I want. I don't need to have a strict plan that I follow every day, like a habit. Like I said, I think we took that productive agricultural industrial mindset and applied it to self-development. And I don't know that it works for most of us. For me, I do what I want in every moment. And I love that. I take responsibility for it. And, if I fill up a bag and then I gotta unload it because there's something at the bottom that needs to go in there, I might not do that next time. I'm gonna observe the few basic physical laws that govern my existence. But I can enjoy each step. I can work and then stop. I can walk over here to do this task and then say, oh, there's another task I might do. I might do that one first. It's a freedom that a lot of people may feel when they're at home. They may feel when they're doing work around the house or cleaning the house or taking care of their home on the weekend, that kind of thing. I think a lot of people feel that way, of work that they can do but don't have to. In this case, I mean work as just any actions, that you take, physical actions. Sometimes I use the word work to mean things that we don't want to do but have to do to survive, to get paid. And I'm really trying to redefine that word in my life. That every action is voluntary, even if you're at a job because you need to work you feel you need to work in some place in order to survive, Let's leave it at that. But say you're there and you're working, you have a choice, at least on how you feel. You have some choice on your posture. You have some choice on how you move, the speed that you work with, the grace that you work with, the dignity that you work with. You have a lot of choice even within some restrictive 8 hour a day kind of job where you stand there and check out groceries or whatever you do. So, wherever you are, you have a lot of choice in every moment. And opening up to that is really awesome. You don't have to sell everything that doesn't fit on your bike and travel around the country like I did in order to experience that. For me, I needed something drastic and dramatic. I'm just that kind of person. I like big choices and big changes. That's me. I like big experiments. But you can, as you're interacting with your stuff, even if you have a lot of stuff, you can do each action not out of habit, but out of choice. If you choose to follow a habit, if you say, hey, if I do these tasks in this order, it works out pretty good, do it, but choose to do it. If you have a whim or an idea that you might want to do it a different way, give it a try. Have an experiment. Your intuition is calling you to check something out. That doesn't mean your intuition is telling you something that will always be true. It may be good for you, it may not. It may just be an experiment that now you know it doesn't work. But following your whim, even if the whim is to do things the same as you did yesterday, listen to it, because you may find a way to tweak what you did yesterday. A musician friend of mine, who wasn't as much of an improviser as I and my buddies were, said that, because we asked him, we said, you play the same music every night, why don't you improvise? And he says, well, I do. I do things pretty much the same way, but I add in a few things here and there, and if I like them, I add them to the program. It was really interesting to hear him say that, because that's not necessarily how I function. When I'm writing my own songs, I do that. I'll sing the same lyrics, after a while, once I figure out which ones I like, or I'll play the same chords, but I still improvise a lot. And I still give myself space within almost every song to take a solo and improvise wherever I want to go. But I think everybody has a different tolerance for it, but at least use it. Creativity and improvisation, at least use it a bit. Use it enough to, how can I say that? Use it, however, in whatever dosage suits you, to listen to your intuition and tweak the little things you do. If you hate your job, maybe you can hate it just a little less. Maybe you can find a way to, among the things you can control, one little thing to try out as an experiment. Like, maybe if I interact with people in this different way, it'll feel a little better. Or maybe if I use this kind of posture, my work won't be as hard on my body physically, or whatever it is. Maybe if I structure things in my schedule according to this procedure that I found on the internet or whatever, maybe that'll be better for me. So, yeah, guys, I really feel like the simplicity has taught me that I can do every action when I want to, I can stop it whenever I want to. I have total freedom. And it's almost a form of meditation, because I can watch myself making the choices. I'm looking at the time clock right here and realize I'm getting to a half an hour. Realizing what that's all about. Like, do I want to go longer? Will it even fit on my phone? Will people want to listen for half an hour? Do I care? Do I just want to be myself and know that people who love me will listen? Yeah. I watch myself making these choices. I don't know a ton about meditation, but I've dabbled over my lifetime. And I've heard people say that you watch your thoughts come and go. And I find I can really watch my choices come and go. As I told Greg, I even watch certain tasks in my habits come and go. If you're a habit person and you like to do things the same way every time, pay attention to your feelings. Maybe you don't want to be creative and mix things up. You want to do things in the same order, but watch. Pay attention to your feelings inside of you, what they call proprioception, your inner sense of yourself, the sense of touch that you have within your body, how everything feels from your blood pulsing and breathing and everything, and all of your emotions that are attached to those physical sensations, your digestion, everything. Pay attention to that, because you might be able to sense when I do this task in my morning routine, I feel a little negative. I was feeling good, I got up, I was feeling good, and then I felt just a little twist, a little of negative. And then work with that. Don't judge it, don't try to make it go away right away. Accept it. Sonia Sophia, who did the World Tapping Circle, another person I found through Brandon Beecham, she talks about that. She talks about accepting the emotions that we have and trying to release them. I actually recommend Sonia's tapping EFT technique very highly. It's worked really well for me, especially in kind of crisis times when nothing else is seeming to work. That being said, I reckon a regular practice of it would help me more, but I tend to use it in crisis times. But one of the things that she and a lot of tapping people will say is, even though I feel this emotion, and you name off the particular emotion, even though I feel a slight unease in my gut when I brush my hair, I feel this emotion, I accept it, I can totally and completely accept myself, even though I'm feeling this emotion. For me, it isn't my hair. For me, it's brushing my teeth. For some reason, brushing my teeth always brings up a negative. Maybe my parents used negativity to get me to brush my teeth because I didn't want to as a kid. I don't know. But for some reason, we have these little triggers, and we feel a negative emotion as attached to a task. That doesn't mean we shouldn't take care of our bodies or that we should stop doing whatever task it is. It just means that we have some emotion attached to some part of our task. Maybe it's a daily commute. Maybe it's a sign you drive by every day. There's something on that sign that just bugs you. Well, work with that. Notice it. Don't try to change it. Accept it. Say, I accept myself even though I have this emotion. And you probably feel the emotion will lighten up a bit. Try tapping. It helps. For rewiring yourself. That even though I feel this emotion, I don't reject myself. I accept myself. And that can really go a long way. Heck, tapping and doing those affirmations or acceptances. I don't know if they're exactly affirmations. I don't know what the official word is for it. I'll have to ask Sonia sometime. That would be a great relationship to cultivate. But anyway, point is, I'd like to meet Sonia and lots of these other people that I hear about on podcasts. But there's an animal. What I'd really like to do is wrap up this video. So, work with your daily life. Notice your choices. Notice the little negativities that pop up in habits. Just really be aware. You don't have to change anything. Please don't judge yourself, negatively or positively. Because if you judge yourself positively, then on the times that you don't, you have that feeling of loss. Just love and accept yourself all the time. And observe, be aware of what happens in your life without any kind of blockages. Just notice what happens. Be aware. This is how I quit smoking. Someone said, if you want to quit smoking, keep smoking. Don't try to stop. Don't try to take your hand out of the package and force yourself not to smoke. Just smoke and feel how bad it is. Feel how bad it tastes. Feel the yuckiness of it. And that will help you quit. And it really did for me. Be aware of what's going on. A lot of times we limit our awareness because we don't want to be aware of painful things. But painful things don't have to hurt us, you know? You can drive by that sign and say, yep, there's something about that sign that bugs me every time I drive by it. I accept it. I understand that this emotion is still with me. I've released some of it through tapping or whatever else, and I accept it. And I know it's a part of me, and I love myself unconditionally. I love all of myself, even the parts of me that react negatively to things. You know, it's like being in first grade and judging yourself for not being in third grade. Just accept where you are right now and really love yourself. That being said, as I mentioned in the previous video, which you haven't heard, and also as I mentioned to Greg, I have a new page on the site. It's joeneely.net/community. You can go there and check out me in all of my forums. Blog, Facebook, hopefully I'm going to add Twitter and Instagram. I haven't done that yet. But I've got, in addition to these video chats, some other things that you can check out, a Facebook group. All that information is at joeneely.net/community. I've done this so that I don't have to end every video with a long spiel of all the things you should check out and all the places you can find me. Just joeneely.net/community. You can find my writing, my social media presence, the community of people that hang out with me and check out my content, and the Facebook group. You can find all that stuff in one place. So, hopefully that will lighten up our videos and streamline things so I can go on more tangents. I love you all very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.